Hello everyone, Gabriel Carrillo from the EdTech Department for the Florence Unified School District, and we got another video in our video series. This time we're doing teacher tablets. However, you have already seen the setup and email setup video, so now let's get into the settings. So first things first, as you can see I have a mouse connected to my tablet, that way you can see where I'm clicking and navigating to. There's two different ways to get to settings. Number one is you open your your app drawer down here, and then it has all your apps in alphabetical order. Settings is here. The second way to get to settings is if you pull down your notification drawer, so you just basically put your finger at the very top here and you drag down, and then you drag down a little bit more, you get the settings wheel up here, and it's right next to the battery percentage and the owner slash user account that's logged in. So let's go ahead and click on settings here. And you will notice that we have a bunch of different settings that we have access to change and modify. The ones that we're going to be focusing on today are Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, display, sound and notification, and lastly, language and input. So those are the ones that we're going to be looking at today. So let's go ahead and start off first by going into Wi-Fi. Here we go. As you can see, I'm connected to the BYOD network. However, it is noticing a couple other networks within the vicinity of this tablet. And let's say I was to try clicking on this brown dog guest. If I wanted to click join a network, number one, I'd have to see it. Number one, I'd have to see it, and here we are. We do see it. Number two, we'd have to actually know the credentials for that network. So if it's your home network, obviously we'd have to know that. If you're trying to log into, let's say, Starbucks or McDonald's, you'd have to know their credentials. So number one, make sure you can see it. Number two, make sure you know the credentials. Put that stuff in there, and you should be good to go. Let's say you're on the bus on a field trip, and you're going to your destination, and you know that your bus ride is going to be about an hour, and you don't want your tablet with the Wi-Fi on looking for a network for over an hour. That's really going to drain the battery because that antenna is going to be on looking for a signal the entire time, and there's no signal around that it's going to be able to connect to, so you might as well turn off your Wi-Fi at that point. Then when you get to your destination that you know has Wi-Fi, toggle it back on and it'll connect you to the appropriate one, or you just have to manually go in here. So that is a little bit of our Wi-Fi settings and how to get onto the appropriate networks that you want on your device. Okay, let's back out, and now let's go into Bluetooth. Here are Bluetooth settings. Here are the devices that are paired, in other words, devices that I have told the tablet to connect to. And then here's the available devices. So there's a difference between the two. Paired means I've got that one memorized. My tablet knows that it can connect to it whenever it needs to, and all I have to do is turn that device on and it'll connect to it automatically. And then the available devices. That means that maybe there's a TV out there, or maybe there's a headset out there that is in pairing mode that is waiting to be paired to this particular device. So, oops. There we go. So this headset that I have here is one that I have at home. It's off, but my tablet knows that it has a secure connection with it. So if I wanted to go home and, listen to some music or watch a video on my tablet with my headset, I'd turn it on, put it on, and it would automatically connect as long as my Bluetooth was on. This ultra-thin mouse is the one that I'm actually controlling the tablet with right now. So I'm not going to toggle that off because it's automatically going to drop the connection between the tablet and the mouse. However, same thing as Wi-Fi. If you know that you're not going to be using any Bluetooth devices, you might as well turn that off until you see fit. Otherwise, that's another antenna that's going to be on the entire time that is going to basically drain the battery. So that is Bluetooth. Okay, we've done Wi-Fi, we've done Bluetooth. Now, let's go to display. Under the display, we have a handful of things that we can play around with. First thing is the brightness level. And when you click on that, you're going to notice that a slider comes up, and it tells you at what brightness that your tablet is set to. That is really low. That is really, really high. I like to have mine kind of in the middle somewhere. And that's what the brightness level adjustment will do. This adaptive brightness is actually pretty cool. If you have your adaptive brightness off, then whatever you tell it to, it will stick to. Wow, that's really bright. However, if I turn on the adaptive brightness, you will notice that the tablet kind of dimmed, and that's because, and on top of the camera, on the front-facing camera on the device, there's actually a sensor that allows that light in, and the tablet will automatically adjust based on how much light is available. So it knows that I'm in a pretty high light room right now, so it adjusted the brightness to automatically based on how much light's coming in. So that's what that adaptive brightness is for. Wallpaper. That's the actual wallpaper of the background of the tablet. You have 3 different choices here. You have these live wallpapers that come with your tablet stock. I'm going to choose that spiral, and you will notice that the live wallpapers, they actually move in the background. So you can have your icons here, and then you'll notice that this will move around in the background. It's actually pretty cool. You then have these photos. So any photos that you've taken, they show up here, and you can set some of those photos. So if you have a family picture, a picture of your class, or what have you, you can set that as the background image of your tablet by doing so. Lastly, you have regular wallpapers. These are not live. They're just regular standard static wallpapers, and you can choose between any of these. I like this one a lot. And that changed my background automatically. Okay, sleep. If you want your tablet to automatically turn off turn the display off and go into sleep mode after 30 seconds of inactivity, then that's what it's set to by default. If you know you want your tablet on for longer than that before it goes to sleep, or shorter, you can adjust. It goes anywhere as low as 15 seconds all the way up to 30 minutes before it actually dims the display down and puts the tablet in sleep mode. Just know that the higher this is, the more battery life it's going to be using, because that display is going to be on longer, and the display is what actually drains the battery the quickest. So just know that. This is a really cool feature. If let's say you're on a field trip, or you're working on something, or you're doing a school play or what have you, and you have your device and you want to take that picture because that moment is right there for you to seize. Number 1, you can pull your tablet out, tap the side power button, put in your PIN or unlock it by sliding, and then you'd have to open up your app drawer and look for that camera app, and by the time that has happened, more than likely you've missed your opportunity. This feature, if you toggle it on, means that by you double clicking on that side home button, it'll automatically do 2 things. It'll automatically unlock the tablet regardless of what type of lock you have on it, and it will automatically open up the camera app. So that's a really, really neat feature. This Daydream clock, we're not going to worry about that because we do not have docking stations for these. If you had a docking station, then you can tell it what to put on there for Daydream, but we're not going to mess with that. Font size. If this normal font is a little too small for your liking, you can change to large, huge, or small if you want to be able to see more text on the screen at one time. So you can choose between those 4. Just know that the normal is the default. When the device is rotated, in other words, if my tablet right now is in portrait mode, so it's up and down vertically. However, if you want to flip the tablet over to its side, you will notice that mine automatically flipped. My display did. That's because, there we go, my rotate the screen, the contents of the screen is selected as my option. If you want it to stay in the current orientation, regardless of what direction you flip the tablet, then you would obviously change that to stay in current orientation. And then cast is if you have any devices in your home or what have you, for example, a Chromecast, an Amazon Fire Stick, a smart TV that has casting built into it, you can take the contents of your tablet and cast it through this cast feature. So that's really cool as well. So we've done Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, now we've gone over display. Perfect, we're almost there. Next one is sound and notification. So let's go ahead and click on sound and notification right here. Really cool thing about the newest Android is that it has 3 separate volume controls. One for media, in other words, videos, music. One for alarm. So you can have your media on at the highest. That way when you play a video, it'll automatically go to this level. But when an alarm goes off, you can have it at a more silent level. That way your alarm's not blaring because you happen to be watching a video at that volume. And then notification volume for email. You can have that set to its own separate independent volume control as well. This do not disturb feature, let's say that you want to set up a rule so that you do not get any email notifications between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. the following morning. So you could set up a rule and you can have times and all that stuff there. You can also set rules for different events. So if you want to turn off all the calendar events from notifying you, but you want to make sure your email notifications still come through, you can set that here as well, based on its priority levels. So that's the do not disturb feature. The default notification ringtone, in other words, what sound does it make when you get a notification? Feel free to play around with these different ones. Choose the one that you like. Other sounds, this one's actually pretty important in my book. The touch sounds, I'm going to go ahead and toggle that on. And I'm just going to kind of click on a couple of different things here. And I don't know if you can hear that, but it's making like a little pop sound in the background. I don't like that. So I like to turn my touch sounds off. Docking sounds, like I said earlier, we don't have any docking stations for these, so don't worry about that. Charging sounds mean when I plug in the charger to charge my device, do I want it to make a sound indicating that yes, it got the charger and it's going to start charging? You can turn that on or off. And then when you lock the screen, do you want it to make a sound? I like to have all that stuff off. I don't need to know that. Cast, same thing as before. If you have any devices in your house that might be able to cast, you might be able to cast this device onto, you can have it set to make a noise every time it connects to it. That way you get an audible notification that it indeed recognized and is connecting to something in your house. This pulse notification light, which is under notification here, there's a little cutout, a circular cutout at the bottom of the tablet case, and there's actually an LED indicator light down there. And let's say that you have muted your device and you get an email, regardless if it's muted or not, that notification light will actually blink to let you know that you have some sort of email, Google message or text or what have you going on in the background, and it'll tell you that, hey, you have something on your phone that you haven't checked yet. I'm sorry, on your tablet that you haven't checked yet. You can set app notifications based on the app, what kind of notification you would like. So you can really delve down and really personalize this to your needs. And then notification access, which ones have access and which ones don't. All right, that takes us through Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, display, sound, and notification. And as I said earlier, language and input. There it is. Let's go ahead and get into the language and input, which is going to be the last one that we're going to be showing you today. All right, so language and input. Our language is set automatically to English, United States. If you ever needed that, that's where you would do it. Spell checker, it automatically checks online for the online Google spell check. You could set that on or off. Personal dictionary. Let's say that you were typing an email to another staff member or team member saying, hey, did you have that Active Inspire lesson that we were working on the other day during prep? And your tablet would probably not recognize the word Active Inspire because it's not a common used word that's in the public dictionary. However, you can go in there and add certain words to it. That way it wouldn't mark them as spelled incorrectly. And you can do that one of two ways. You can do it here, or you can do it as you're typing. You'll get a little notification, I guess you would call it like a pop-out, indicating that, hey, this word doesn't exist. You can actually tell it right then and there as you're typing to go ahead and add it to your personal dictionary. So that's what this personal dictionary means. And then current keyboard. Our tablets come preloaded with the Google keyboard. However, you can download third-party keyboards and Android keyboards. And then here's this first option. Here's where you would choose which one you want. We have the current Google one. The current keyboard as the Google keyboard. This next one that says Google keyboard, this is where you can actually change the preferences for yours. So if I go here and I look at preferences, There's the theme. Do you want your keyboard to have a dark sort of appearance or a light one? I'm going to show you the difference between the two. So there's our light one, and I'm going to click on the home button, and I'm going to go ahead and choose Google up here so we get a keyboard, and you will notice that the keyboard almost has a transparent white background to it. Let's go back to our settings, and I'm going to click on our app switcher here. There we go. And I'm going to change that theme to dark. And let's go back and check this out. Now the keyboard has a dark appearance to it, a dark background. I personally really like this one. So let's go back. And the next one is this show keyboarder. In other words, do you want it to show the outline of each key? You can do that. You can customize the input styles. We use the regular QWERTY, so we can just leave that as it is. Long press for symbols. If you click on that and then you use the keyboard and you long press, that symbol, that $sign comes up with it, because that is the secondary key that's assigned to the letter D. So that's what that means. And then the other one we want to show off is the height of the keyboard. Right now it's set to normal. If I set this to tall and go back here and click, you will notice that the keyboard actually takes up a little bit more space on the device as the normal height, or normal, there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and change that, and by going back, it does take up less space here. Okay. And then next is this sound on key press. If I toggle that on and I start typing here, you hear all those audible clicks. That's because we have the sound on key press. I've never been a fan of that, especially if you're walking around taking notes during an assessment when the kids are supposed to be testing or what have you. All of those audible sounds will distract the students. So if you shut that off, you no longer have that going on in the background. Okay? That's our keyboard preferences. You can play around with some of the different things here. The text correction. You can take a look here. If you wanted to auto-capitalize words, block offensive words, and so on and so forth, you can play around with those. The dictionary here, obviously, you have your personal dictionary that it adds as you see fit, and all that good stuff here. So that is our language and input. So now we've gone over Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, display, sound and notification, and language and input. Get comfortable with these, play around with them, change your tablet to kind of be your own and have your own sounds and notifications and keyboard styles and font size, wallpaper, and we want you guys to have, if you have any questions for us, we want you to reach out to us. So if you play around with these and you see some things that you're not sure of, by all means, contact the Ed Tech department. We will answer any and all questions that you might have about settings in your tablet. Be sure to watch the next video in our series. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.